Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to Nerd Fight!
Step into the ring, it's time to brawl. Nerd fights, baby, we're geeking for all. Marvel, DC, Trek, and more.
Fire.
Pop culture battles, settle the score. Nerd fights, let's get loud. Nerd fights, yeah, for the geeky crowd. Nerd fights, hey, it's time to throw down. Bring your fandom, it's the hottest showdown. Who's got the takes? Who's got the heat? Mr. Know-It-All and Salty can't be beat.
That means only one thing. It's time to fight.
Beat drops out with the final shot.
Nerd Fights.
Let's fight!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Nerd Fights. I am Mr. Know-It-All, your host, and of course, joining me, as always, the captain of this starship, Salty Trekker. Sir, how are you?
Not too bad, although Creep was laying odds that it would be more likely that to find a Bigfoot riding a unicorn in the woods than for us to do this live stream tonight.
It's terrible. I know that I didn't schedule the thing, but at the same time, because I had just one too many things to happen, but I was determined to be on the show tonight. So I'll have to fix the titles and stuff later on both our channels once it's done, because I think it still says last Wednesday's title, but I'll fix that. I'm assuming we're finished. Either way, people are going to see a live stream happening, and they're going to be here. What's going on, everybody? I see people from Columbus, Ohio saying hi. What's up, Mike Richards? And then a gentleman from the Canadian Far East, 47 Yorktown. What's up, my brother? Good stuff, man.
Oh no, you're not allowed to call him brother anymore.
Why? Is it illegal?
But, Canada and America hate each other now, don't you?
I don't know. Not Ontario. If you saw those advertisements, literally their advertisements are like,
yeah, but Far East Canada is not Ontario.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. No, please. I did not mean that. Forgive me. I never, in any way, shape, or form, did I mean that. But yeah, so welcome to the show. What we do is normally on Wednesdays we come prepared with some stuff, and we're going to talk about Spider-Man, anyway. The finale of Spider-Man, and we're also going to talk about a little bit of Invincible, and I think whatever else is happening in the wonderful world of entertainment, and I think some other stuff we got to go. What's going on? Hey, Robert. Robert saying hi.
Yes, and you know what? You're not the first person to say I bear some resemblance.
You kind of do.
But he's actually skinny now, which I think he looked better when he was fat.
He looks like literally, he looks, not only does his suit look big, but like his skin looks big.
Right.
Like he looks like he's just in general, or you're like, bro, have you been sick for a while? What's going on?
Yeah. And I haven't seen him recently. I assume his hair is probably darker than mine.
Well, I think it's more of a charcoal-y, but it's still got the gray and pepper in it. So anyway, what's going on in your wonderful world? What's happening this week?
Oh man, well, we have
other than an amazing continuing review. I love what you're doing, by the way, on the channel with the Section 31 stuff, especially because you did this amazing little animation. Now you've taken Darren's little character. Did I ever tell you, by the way? So Darren hit me up on Twitter and was like, I made that for him, but I don't like the fact he's using it. And I said, Darren, you're welcome to take it back. I'll just have to use my skills and make him another one. And I can do it. And I said, trust me. I said,
first of all,
and I said, no, hold on. But then I said to him, and then you won't be able to lay credit for having your fingerprints on his stuff. Don't you want to always lord that over him? And he goes, yeah, I guess you're probably right. I was like, yeah. I was like, you go, bud.
Good manipulation there. But Darren didn't even create it.
No,
LDG created it, and Darren just used it in one of his videos to poke fun at me.
Right.
But you know what?
Dude, now he talks and everything.
Yeah,
like you're going all out.
Well,
man.
they haven't seen a video where he talks yet.
Oh, I'm the only one who's seen that.
Yeah,
spoilers.
But that's still in the beta phase,
But even just wiggling, just getting the whole he's wiggling down makes, I don't know why, brings him to life. I swear, it's unbelievable.
Now I will say this: I am I'm working on the next. So I'm almost done with the next chapter of the review.
Okay.
And I will tell you that I discovered something very disturbing. And I really wish I hadn't have seen it.
What is it?
Because now I can't unsee it.
Unsee it?
And it's just one of those things where it's like, wait a minute, did they really? It kind of like when I was making fun of the Plan 9 from Outer Space thing in the
Right.
last one. The fact that it's kind of funny that the weapon bears some resemblance to Solar Benite, which was the weapon in Plan 9 from Outer Space.
That's hilarious.
But this goes beyond just a passing resemblance.
Right.
This is like, I'm seriously thinking that the writers literally just stole an idea from another show and put it in like almost one for one into the show. And it's a major thing in the show.
Hello, Derek from Uber.
So, and so I will give you a sneak peek by showing you the thumbnail for the next chapter in the
Say hi
review.
to Derek and his son. Derek from Uber is watching with his son.
Oh, hey. Sorry, I didn't. I don't have the chat up right now. But hey, yes. So he was in my car today. But although that's funny because this was the second time that he got an Uber ride from me. The first time was when gosh, a couple of weeks ago, and I told him about this channel. So,
Oh, right on.
but yeah. All right.
Maybe we'll
So
look at- All right, ready. Go ahead.
look at Professor Farnsworth's doomsday device. And by the way,
Why do I feel like you're dead right?
it's in a folding case that has
It's dome-like.
and the interior of the case is carved out to match the shape of the device. So yes, it's called the Sphere O Boom,
It's hilarious.
which is Professor Farnsworth's personal, sentimentally favorite doomsday device in his collection of doomsday devices.
That's awesome. Unreal. Yeah, I think you're right. I can totally guarantee that they probably were like, somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, I got this great idea for a thing." I was like, "And that's our come on, who's gonna put the two things together?" Because people think that everyone's stupid, not realizing that we have the internet
Right.
and we have every possibility that everyone's gonna know everything at some point. Like it's like, dude, that's hilarious. That's really funny.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
how many poops does that get?
um,
By the way, did you? There was like nothing. At least in Last Jedi, there was like some redeeming stuff, but I'm noticing this
this
massive
one is not getting much. Fight scene didn't start out too bad.
No, for real.
I gave it a green turd for that. You know, I
Oh my
gave it a
gosh.
green. I gave a green turd for when they punched Giorgio in the face just because I thought it was funny.
Robert wants to know what are our opinions of the new Masters of the Universe movie. So real fast,
I haven't seen. Now, is there an actual trailer for it or anything?
No,
yet?
no.
Okay.
They began filming this I think this week or last week.
Okay.
And there's been pictures of the kid who's going to play. I can't remember the actor's name either. Who plays Prince Adam and / He-Man? And he went from being like really tiny dinky to suddenly he's walking around like this with like a polo on and like the hair, literally the bob hair. He's grown the hair himself, so he's walking around in public like that, and he's huge, thick now. And they also cast several other people, but it is an. My issue is if the leaked stuff that they're saying is even remotely a little bit true, I find myself concerned. The basic premise that I have heard is that Adam is a regular dude in like our world, and the stuff from the past is from his world, and it's weird. And he's
That's
like
as
works
bad
at a
as the
shop or
Dolph
something.
Lundgren thing where they came into
Right.
our world.
Right. And and this has shades of the McG script in the late 90s that was floating around where they were like, yeah, we're gonna it's good because McG was all about making it very like grounded, but his version of grounded was like, I don't know, He-Man and Sino Man. I don't know.
Right.
It was very, very weird. And so
Well,
I'm concerned, but everyone who's in it looks good. Idris Elba's playing Man at We're gonna have to get back to Stanley, by the way, because he's actually on point. Like we've drifted because of this
Yeah.
He-Man question. Which, by the way, don't worry about it, Rob. We love answering this. But Stanley's he's going deep. Apparently, he just finished season 1 of Spider-Man.
So it
and he's asking
debuted
questions.
in 1983. So
I knew it was 83, right?
Huh?
I knew it was like 83, 84, something like that, right?
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
I was like 15 when it started. I was a little old for that kind of thing. I remember.
Really, dude, I was watching. What do you? I was a freshman in high school, and my friends were like, "Hey, do you want to go whatever?" I said, "No, I just got stuff I got to do," and I was going home to watch Power Rangers, and then they snuck up because our door had one of those big giant glass sides on it, and then they're knocking on the door, and I'm in my living room because that's right by the door, and they're like, in the window, they're like, "Let us in, we want to watch too." So it was me and my friends at high school watching Power Rangers. There's no
Yes,
such
we
thing as
see
too
that
old.
just shows that you were
Says the man with a stormtrooper helmet on a nerd show.
a
Tell me how
stormtrooper helmet
mature
that
you
I
are,
made,
please.
by the way. So
Yes,
you know,
you did.
it's stuck on. And hey, I got life size thing here. So
Hey, I love it. I love it.
But,
By the way, he says Robert says that you're frozen, and I think that's him. I don't know if that's real because I see we both have strong internet right now. I don't know what's going on. Derek from Uber says, "Is it confirmed that Denzel has a role in the MCU coming up?" The answer to that is no. If so, any thoughts on what character? I'd love to see him as Magneto. A lot of people have said expressed they'd love to see him as Magneto. I don't necessarily know that I see him as Magneto because how do you get rid of the single most defining trait of Magneto other than his magnetism, which is that he's Jewish
that
and a
he's-
survivor
yeah,
of the
he's-
Holocaust? I mean, and don't get me wrong, you could come up with something equally as hardcore when it comes to that stuff. I do not still have my Pink Ranger outfit. I used to have the Green Ranger dealie that we made ourselves. It's great.
Notice he said he doesn't still have his Pink Ranger outfit.
Oh, come on. I got to play with it.
Not that he's never had
I gotta
a.
play with Stan. The truck reviewer says we did freeze, but I just think that's the internet overall. Anyway. Like, that's not our fault.
Yeah.
We were like, I never thought we'd have the problem where we have too many. All that Stanley goes, Nazis hated black people too.
Well, that's true, but
It's true, but they weren't carting them off into camps. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And Magneto was actually, I mean, it was a defining part of his character. Is that his parents were Jewish. He was carted off to Auschwitz specifically. And, so, I mean, it's a big part of his story. Now, could you change it? Sure. Because honestly, if you're going to put anybody under the age of, say, one of the older Social Security recipients, according to the current administration, it's going to be pretty hard to say that this person was at Auschwitz. So
Stanley says he had his tattoo. He had a little Auschwitz.
Yeah, they showed the tattoo in the movies, in X-Men 3.
He is African American though, South African American. Sorry.
Oh, Elon.
Bradley goes, "Oh, so that freezing thing isn't just me." You know what? Forget you people. I don't know what to do because, like I said, our signals are strong, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen Mr. Know-It-All freeze at all, and
Tell YouTube, tell it to them. YouTube's like,
the problem
what?
is, I mean, since if me and Mr. Know-It-All can see each other fine, that just means the connection between the two of us is good.
So, question, Rilla. Going back to real quick to Derek's question. So, who, if not Magneto, who could Denzel play theoretically?
You see, honestly, I'm trying to think of like a one and done type villain.
Sure.
I wouldn't make it someone like as iconic as Magneto, just because. And I'm just being honest here. Denzel is like A-list, and he's old. And those are two things that work against you as far as the longevity potential in the MCU.
True. I agree with that.
So, so who I would have him play specifically, I don't know. But, obviously not a character that needs to have a superhero bod, because, Denzel's a little past his prime. Deathlock, is Death...
Deathlock's that cyborg. He's a cyborg character that was. The problem is I couldn't see. I can't see them covering him up. They didn't even make him put on an accent to be in Gladiator.
Right.
Donna is letting us know we did in fact freeze. Thank you,
Okay.
Donna. That's now everybody heard from. I love all of you.
It was probably a problem.
We did. Everyone's like, fine, I admit we froze. I don't know. What
It
to
was
tell you.
probably a problem with YouTube then.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Because it could
so-
never be us.
Honestly, now,
Oh God, Bradley, don't do it. Did you hear about The Rock possibly playing Apocalypse? No. No. Don't get me wrong. He has the jaw, the structure, he has the size. I just don't
Apocalypse
know
needs
that
to
I
be a
can deal
CG
with-
character, period.
You mean like the Hulk or something? Like, do they just pick somebody
Yeah,
and have
pure,
them,
or Thanos. I mean, if you're going to, a character of Apocalypse's stature needs to be CG. And think about Apocalypse's power set. He needs to be CG.
You know, I could totally see Denzel playing Apocalypse CG. Just
What, just
body,
doing the voice?
yeah, well, no, doing they would put him in like they did with Harrison Ford playing Red Hulk. They just put him in the
Denzel's
outfit,
a
so he gets to
Beyonder
do
would
the
be
body
an-
performance.
Yeah.
Denzel would be a good Beyonder.
Yeah, I could see that.
Ooh, I could totally see that.
However, so
Old man Miles Morales.
but I was thinking
Right.
about this. This just kind of popped into my head when I was
Okay.
prepping for today's show. You're just talking about fan casting, obviously
Right.
not Denzel specific, and not even MCU specific. However, let's suppose hypothetically they were going to do a live action Invincible. Okay.
I think you get the guy who you get.
No, hear
what's
me
his
out.
name?
Wait for
Okay.
it. You ready
Okay.
for this?
Sure.
I'm not talking about Invincible himself, but
Oh, okay.
I would have the same actor play every other adult male. How do you ever say the vitrolite or
Viltrumite.
Viltrumite?
Yeah.
Have you, because you notice they all have the same look.
Sure, they
Right.
do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So you have the same actor play every single one of them, right? Now picture the male Viltrumite in your head, right? You got it in your head.
Sure.
Henry Cavill with the mustache.
Oh my God. He would be so good.
Tell me that would not be perfect.
He would be awesome. You could. He
He
would
could
be
finally be
amazing.
Superman with the mustache.
He would be amazing. Man, that would be so good. That was good. That would be. The problem with Henry Cavill is you can't get him to do anything. I say that because the guy's been attached to like a dozen things, but he's holding such. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad he has standards, but his standards are going to work him right out of a job.
Right.
Okay, because at the end of the day, it's like, bro, work, do the thing.
It's one thing to be a perfectionist. It's another thing to be difficult to work with.
Yes, I agree. See, so ladies, it's not just you. No, I'm kidding. Like if women are always saying, "But people say we're hard to work with." That's Henry Cavill. He's hard to work with, clearly.
It's women, Henry Cavill, children, and animals.
That's right.
And I think in that order, if I remember correctly.
That's awesome. No, but I'm actually kind of interested in. They're talking about the redheaded girl from Stranger Things. Her name literally escapes me. They're talking about maybe they want to have her become Jean Grey, and it's funny because somebody posted a picture and they posted a picture of her from Stranger Things, and I had to respond. I was like, first off, this is a bad look. This is her as like a kid. You wanted to find a picture of her today, and then someone else found one of her today, and she's a lot like Millie Bobby Brown, and that in real life she looks far older, and they have to young her up in the show now because she's way too old compared to what she is in the show. Like in the show, I think she's supposed to be like 16 or 17 at some point, and now I think in real life she's like 20 something.
By the way, I don't know if you saw it when you went to see Cap. I forgot to add, because obviously there were a few trailers there before the movie. One of which I have to say, I rolled my eyes so far back that I could literally see my brain for a minute.
Okay, what was it?
That they've now made a movie that officially creates the connected cinematic universe of the Karate Kid.
Oh, yeah. So there's a legit, like, it's
Yes, there's a trailer. I saw it before Cap.
and it's Jackie Chan playing the character he was, which is not Miyagi. It's another martial artsy person.
Which that movie just bothered me because that should have been called Kung Fu Kid, because why was it called Karate Kid when the whole thing was set in China and he was
Because we
teaching
are
Kung Fu?
Americans, and as far as we're concerned, Kung Fu and karate are the same thing. Just like I was about to say, as far as we're concerned, Jackie Chan and Mr. Miyagi could have been best friends, even
And
though
yes,
they
Stan,
literally are in two different
this
times.
has Ralph Macchio in it and Jackie Chan both
Legit.
teaching a Chinese kid.
Yep.
So that's the plot this time.
Dude, since we're talking about finales, we probably should have put this on the list. Did you see the finale for? Have you watched any of Cobra Kai?
I have not. No, you know what? I like.
Will you ever or no?
Nah.
Okay,
Well, maybe one of these days when I have nothing to do. But it does the show
Spoilers
like
spoilers to
me?
everybody. Spoilers to everybody. So they deep faked Mr. Miyagi.
Oh,
because
did they?
because Daniel has a moment where they start in an original scene from the original movie, and then at some point something happens, and he looks and he goes outside, and and the guys with the things, the skull outfits, remember from the movie, and he's feeling real like he's feeling a little disoriented, and then Miyagi walks out, and dude's walking, big eye, his eyes are huge. They deep fake somebody. They mostly fight in the shadow, but when he walked out, that was they clearly were like, "This who this is." And then they had obviously the body double, and you saw him mostly from behind a couple of times. It was an amazing moment, and I was just like, "Oh." I was like, "That's so cool!" That the fact that they actually went that far, and I'm like, you know what? It was the finale of the series, and the series is now over. But yeah, they did such a good job with that thing, and they really showed. They gave the story legs I didn't realize it had or even needed. Like
Well,
I mean that.
to me, it's like, look, I'll be honest with you. I thought the first movie was fun. I thought the second movie was kind of a snore. I never saw the third one, and I thought that the one with with Jaden in China was an insult to the legacy.
It was terrible. No, I don't even count that. That's not anything.
But hey,
That's
Jackie
amazing.
Chan's reprising his role, so you know.
Yeah, but I doubt I doubt at any point he's gonna be like, you know who I really miss? Jaden Smith. I mean, I doubt it. I totally
It's
doubt
part
it.
of the KKCU or whatever they're going to call it.
Oh my god. Unreal. So yes, Miyagi deepfake. And he talked. How did I miss? Yeah, he did. Oh, I guess he did. He did.
Oh, come on. Patrick Morita is one of those voices that's anybody can. It's like Yoda. Anybody can do his voice. So
Derek said you're evil. Well, because he was actually in real life, the guy talked like he did on Happy Days. In real life, he had no accent. In real life, he would just drop it and be normal. And then so basically he was doing the accent I think we all expected of him when he played the character of Miyagi. Because that's not. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, so you've disappeared. It says,
yeah,
waiting
I
for
see that. My camera died on me.
Oh my god! Hold on. Is it IV cam? Is this your cyborg camera?
Yeah,
It's
that's my cyborg camera. That's
oh. Real quick, Derek. So Derek says Henry Cavill's a true nerd caught between epic project executives who are disconnected from the lore. He's absolutely right. Previously, Stan had said, well, didn't he get screwed? Or somebody had said, didn't he get screwed with on The Witcher? It isn't that he got screwed on The Witcher. It's that he refused to bend on some things they were changing of the actual lore, hardcore. And as a result, Henry Cavill was like, look, I'm not gonna do this. It's not faithful. It's nothing. Blah 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 blah. All these things, and I was like, okay, that's fair. So but then he goes off to do potentially Warhammer 40K or whatever, and he's having to arm wrestle those guys as well. So it's like, good Lord, man, what's
But
going
you
on?
see, okay, so with the Warhammer thing, you know, here's the problem. There's only one person that can do this, and that's Ryan Reynolds. He's the only person that can strong arm a studio like that, and that's because no one else can play Deadpool. And the thing is that Ryan Reynolds made sure of that because of the mystery person that leaked the Deadpool test footage, and so which guaranteed that no one else would ever be able to play Deadpool.
Real quick, so Stan says he hadn't heard that there was tension on Warhammer. So the tensions with the executives at Apple, or not Apple, Amazon, who want to do they're the ones who are interested in the I think, or maybe are actually producing it. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know the exact relationship, but they wanted, because they want to introduce a female space marine or whatever. And the thing is, canonically they are genetically enhanced male characters. So to introduce one literally flies in the face of an entire fandom. Not even as a sexist thing. Make any female character you want. They just can't wear the marine armor because there are none. Like it's part of the lore that there is, that they are all male. And so that was one of the things he was like, he had a problem with, along with some other issues creatively. And so he's kind of like that. He did do What You Jigger, the one somebody else talked about it, the one he was filming, Highlander. They actually started filming. I'm not sure where it was at in the process, but I know Highlander.
So is he playing Connor McLeod?
It's a complete reboot. It's a complete reboot of the series. He's playing the original. He's playing the character that Christopher Lambert played.
Yeah, that would be Connor McLeod.
Okay, I always got them confused between him and the TV show guy, especially when they did the movie where they had the two of them in it.
Yeah,
which I thought was
everything after the first Highlander movie was crap anyway.
Okay, the second movie doesn't exist. The series wasn't that bad, but it introduced a whole lot of like extra lore stuff. I'm like, does he really need a Buffy the Vampire Slayer style watcher? Like, what is this organization? I don't understand. Like, there are too many things they tried to play with, especially because the movies had the misfortune of every movie was the last thing. And you're like, wait, but I thought you won the thing.
There can be only one. And
then
more,
you find
and one more after that.
Well, in the third movie, you find out that Connor was like living the good life, and he was about to become an old man, and then all of a sudden he woke up in lightning and he was young again because a new immortal had been born. It had all started again. I was like, really? The Lord decided to do that with it? Is that what we did?
Yeah. I think that Highlander was Highlander kind of like Terminator. It was a good movie. It didn't need to be a franchise.
I mean, franchises were hardly a thing at the time.
I know.
I watched somebody's video essay today talking about how Captain America: Brave New World marks the end of the franchise era, and I'm like, really? Like, what are you talking about? Anyway.
Well, that's because people, got to hate on Marvel because it's popular to do so.
Yeah.
Honestly,
true. My whole thing is, so the debate that I heard this week was that, and by the way, the movie itself, Captain America, didn't do bad. It's almost made its production budget, which does not include its marketing budget. It's going to have to, honestly, clear almost $500 million in order to make any kind of a profit whatsoever.
I don't think Disney was even intending on making a profit.
Same. I have been saying the same thing. The movie did not have to make money. It just has to reset and get us back on track for the MCU. That's all it has to do.
And the funny thing is, except for the extremists out there, critical drinker, most people just say, "Yeah, it's good."
Yeah,
I
enjoyed it immensely. My issues were minor in compared to, because I've watched several reviews now, and everybody just wants to like beat the thing up, and I'm like, I don't know. Oh my god, these Bergenbeard, these guys I watched, these British guys, they just ripped the thing a new one, and I'm like, golly, guys, really? I don't know. I don't think it was that bad. Derek says Dr. Doom feels rushed by the time we get Doomsday. It makes him nervous. I would normally agree, except I don't know that what's his name, RDJ, can do wrong.
Well, let me say this. As far as I've heard that from a lot of people, as far as, oh wow, Dr. Doom's not getting enough lead time and all that. Okay, so first of all, if you don't think Dr. Doom's going to be in Fantastic Four, then you're probably smoking something not legal in this state, because he's there's about a 99.9% chance. I won't say it's 100%, but I'll say a 99.9% chance he's going to be in Fantastic Four.
So I think, what do you think the over-under is? He's going to be actually in the movie, or just a credit scene? Like, where do you
see? That's the tough part. I would like to have him be an actual part of the movie. And in fact, I could see that as being, because remember, this is a universe, it's an alternate universe where the Fantastic Four are established already.
Sure.
And so,
Yes.
based on that, with the threat of Galactus, maybe Reed reaches out to Doom. Because it's like, Doom doesn't want the planet to die. So, that'd be something they could work together on.
I can see
So,
that.
I would like to see that. But I'd say, as far as the over under, I'd say probably about a 75%. It's just going to be post credit.
And I think it'll be something along the lines of like Thanos. It'll be some sort of I'm telling you, I firmly believe that somehow. Because here's the thing, I still believe in my heart. I don't care what anybody says about that teaser not being in the movie or not being canonical to the movie. I have a feeling, just a gut feeling. I don't know anything. I have a gut feeling that we're going to find out they used to be here at the 616 universe back in the 60s, part of a space program, and they disappeared. And eventually came back and arrived in their version. And then, like you had said, Reed somehow helps. I don't think he goes to a retro futuristic world. I think he helps make a retro futuristic world, and there. And then ultimately, that's going to either lead to Galactus in their universe, or something and somehow he figures out a way to get them out. He figures out how to finally, whether it's opening a dimension or whatever, and it's going to cause an incursion that destroys the place, and Doom wants revenge. And I believe that's going to be the premise, because Doom's going to figure out there's some things going on. Because remember, Galactus is a multiversal constant, meaning he's the same across the multiverse.
Well, you're assuming that they're going with that in the MCU, though.
I don't know how you don't.
Because that's also a fairly recent concept with Galactus.
We also said, recent is in the last 20 years, but yeah, recent. You're right, because like Jack Kirby didn't make that up.
Right.
That's something. You're right. So it is technically recent. But anyway, I don't know. I just feel like because he's a one and done. He's playing a Doom. Right. He's not playing the.
Yeah, I don't
MCU
think he's playing
Doom
the 616 Doom. I think he's playing the Doom from whatever universe Fantastic Four takes place in.
Right.
And he is, in fact, a Tony Stark variant in that Doom took over his body.
Derek also says, theory is that Sue Storm is pregnant. First steps has more than one meaning. I would not put that past Feige. Feige likes a double entendre. That's for sure.
I wouldn't put it past the meaning of the movie, but I get the feeling Franklin will already be...
like a child, either a baby or...
Yeah, I think he'll be a child at the beginning of the movie.
Stanley says Salty considers early 80s recent.
In fact, I think, you jerk. Now, I would not be surprised, and this would be a little bit of an alteration from the original origin story, but what if Sue was pregnant when they got their powers?
Okay. So her son would be born.
That would explain why Franklin is so extraordinarily powerful.
Yeah, absolutely it would.
If he was, imbued with cosmic power while in utero. So...
he has the in utero cosmic power.
Well, I'm just saying it would be different because everybody else.
I just think it's hilarious that you're like, welcome to the show. We like to hear fun stuff like in utero.
Well, actually, if you look at the cosmic,
and by the way, no women to be seen. So let's go ahead and go down this road.
But no, if you think about the cosmic, and when I say I mean literally the power cosmic, not just like all the cosmic creatures. But if you look at the power,
there was a slight jump. Did anybody else see him freeze just now? There was a slight jump. I'm trying to catch whatever it is that they might have seen. It was like a stutter.
Well, anyway, so the power cosmic beings in Marvel,
right?
There's only been now I'm not counting Franklin's sister because I never read anything
Valeria
with her because she came
later.
Valeria
Storm. She's
Which is
she's
funny because
smarter
Franklin
than
should be like 30 years old when she's born.
she's smart. Oh yeah, no kidding. She's smarter than her father. She's smarter than her father, and arguably, probably. And Doom has in the comics has hinted she's a tad smarter than him. But that's just him trying to not have to give in all the way.
But you see, I don't like
she
that.
Can outthink. She can outthink a lot. Like, if nothing else, her mind is fast.
Right.
Very fast.
And I do
And she
not
doesn't
like
put
that
pieces together.
concept. I don't like the idea that you got, because Reed is supposed to be the benchmark for intelligence. There is no human.
That's not so. I don't know how long. So maybe
That was
back.
the
I
way
don't
it
know.
was in Marvel for like 50 years. And then
I know, but now we've got because here's the thing. Peters is brilliant from Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
yeah,
He's
but
brilliant
he's never been Reed Richards level intelligent.
until dude. There was a whole storyline for
Well, I
almost
know. Well,
10
look, I
years
was just
where he had an
researching-
entire company. He was Bruce Wayne Spider-Man.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that Marvel, and this is there's a reason Marvel Comics is a dying company. Well, it's actually a dead company that's just being kept alive by the Marvel Studios.
So
But-
Stark, real quick. Stanley asked, smarter than Banner, Stark, and Parker. So yes, but they're different. Reed is a genuine Einsteinian type genius. Stark is a futurist who's brilliant and can come up with stuff.
Stark is like a great engineer.
Correct. And Banner is a
He's a biologist, basically.
right, and he's very very smart in that regard. Peter is an all around. I think Peter's like a junior, either mixed between Stark and what's his face. But then they introduced Blue Marvel, and Blue Marvel supposedly is a genius.
Again,
super smart.
So this is Marvel Comics is a dying company at best. And what did they start doing in Marvel Comics? Everybody's got to be a super genius, and I do not.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
noticed
okay,
that.
the girl and spoilers. We're going to be talking about the show anyway in a minute. But the girl that is Daredevil's sidekick, whatever her name is. All right, so I looked her up because I'd never heard of her, and that's because she wasn't introduced till long after I stopped reading comics.
Sure.
And so it says in her bio she graduated MIT at the age of 14. I'm like, come on, please. I'm so you got Riri, which is supposed to be super duper uber smart. You got all these kids now in Marvel that are smarter than all the old school characters, and I'm done with that. Let Reed be the smartest man in the world. I'm sorry. That was his whole thing for 50 years, and then they just wanted to make all the babies be smarter than Reed for some reason.
Robert choosing to bring. I'm only calling this back because he brought up anime. Through the threat and what of Galactus, does it just a Monday morning for the top tier characters in the Dragon Ball universe? He's right. The Dragon Ball characters destroy the planet 5 times over, but it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and I've never watched Dragon Ball. I know a little bit about it, but I would say this:
it's too much.
To me, that takes the fun out of it. I don't want like Superman is hard enough to write, and because how do you make people feel threatened when your main character is a god? And so that's a problem DC has across the board, by the way, because DC's characters are all way too powerful, except for Batman. But Batman's even so smart that he can beat everybody.
So Batman's gone from being the pinnacle of human whatever to literally being Sherlock Holmes and prescient at this point. Like he's just everyone's like prep time. Prep time is just prescience. Prep time is just I know everything about you and will thus try to account for every possibility. I don't necessarily buy that, but it's okay.
And yes, Derek, Marvel or Disney does love the kids for sure, and
phrasing.
That's something that is troubling to me. In that I don't, that's what what's wrong with Star Wars. Star Wars doesn't need to be made for kids. Star Wars is awesome as Star Wars. You don't need to make the MCU for kids now. Kids loved the MCU. It's not like Iron Man was struggling to make money, right? Or, well, maybe the first one because nobody had heard of it. But by the time you got around to the Avengers movie, everybody wanted to see it.
Agreed.
It wasn't just adults, where the kids were like, I don't want to see another superhero movie,
That was a great voice, by the way.
Thank you. But yeah, I get so sick of these studios thinking two things that we've kind of covered here. One, that they feel like they have to ground things that are not grounded.
Right.
Which that's one of the things I'm looking forward to with Fantastic Four, because it does look like they're truly embracing the cheese.
Sure.
And two, you need to dumb down everything to make it for kids. When kids like, the reason kids like their hero characters is because they're hero characters, not because
I agree.
they're other kids.
I agree. Real quick, Bradley says, watch the abridged version of Dragon Ball. Cuts all the fluff up with comedy and lets it great watch. Yeah, he's talking about Dragon Ball Kai. And Dragon Ball Kai, they literally cut out all the extemporaneous, like, extras. Like, in the original series, you'd go an episode and a half before anybody fought anybody because they were powering up or whatever else and just took time to. It's crazy. So now they bridge. He's right. It's the abridged version, Dragon Ball Kai. It's probably the best ways to watch it, and you can get it done. I would say you could binge it. And honestly, you could binge that in probably 3 or 4 days. But either way, go on. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, but the thing about with Dragon Ball, look, I know people that are into anime, and so Dragon Ball is the ultimate answer to my dad can beat up your dad.
Yes, that is brilliant.
That's all Dragon Ball
God.
is.
Is
Japan was like, okay, you got Superman? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hold my sake, buddy.
There's a reason that every year when the soccer champs come around and they play, football, and China and Japan play, almost inevitably they do a Monkey King poster because Goku is roughly based on the Monkey King story, which is a Chinese proverb or Chinese story. So what they do is they inevitably show the Monkey King facing off against Goku in their advertising because that's the idea. Stanley talks said One Punch Man. One Punch Man, so crazy. Wow, when did we turn to anime? Because I don't think you prepped for this.
No. So and I would say, but Stan, this is 100% correct. Because look, I liked Star Trek: The Original Series when I was a little kid.
Sure.
And so when I was 5 years old watching Star Trek, I didn't want to see the adventures of a 5-year-old Captain Kirk. I wanted to be Captain Kirk when I got to be a grown-up.
Again, I will say the same thing I have said on a regular basis. This is to the audience about this man right next to me. He had no other choices. He makes it sound like there were so many options that he was like, let me see. Oh, look, I like Captain Kirk because he's the best thing out here. He was the only thing out there. There wasn't many choices because you know what came on a half hour later? Lost in Space, and nobody wanted to be those jerks.
I have 4 words for you, my friend.
What's that?
$6 million man.
Bro, I loved it. And I saw it on reruns. I loved the 6
I watched that when it first aired on Sunday nights.
Man. Yeah, Bionic Man. Right, Stanley. Yes.
No, the show was called The $6 Million Man. It was not. There was the sequel show is The Bionic Woman, but which was
everything down to the even. It's funny if you watch it anything from today, like of today's standard, even the intro, they somebody took the time to design a human looking like drawing digitally with metal pieces that could never
those were not computer graphics, even though they look like there's that's a funny thing. They're supposed to be computer graphics. Yes. But unlike the funny thing is, if you look at a lot of stuff from back then, when somebody would be doing something on a computer and it's obvious we're watching hand-drawn animation, the $6 Million Man graphics look like computer graphics.
They look damn good. Bradley real quick says there's some grown man crying moments in Dragon Ball if you get into the story. He's absolutely right. The one that still to this day gets me in the original Japanese because the music and everything was when Goku's son Gohan has to face against fighting Cell. All these names mean nothing to you, Salty. Give me a second. And there's this android creature guy named Android 16 whose head gets crushed. And before it gets crushed, he looks at Gohan and he says, Gohan, take care, save the earth that I love so much. Because he was like a vegan-y, earthy, crunchy android who didn't want to kill anybody. Yeah, so then Gohan freaks out. And the way they depict it, you would imagine they would depict anger and whatever else. He freezes and you see birds flying. And just all this stuff. And then it's wham! It hits him and this music hits. Bro, I'm like, oh my God, it's amazing. Bro,
and not that I'm not calling Bradley a liar. And Bradley, I love you. But at the same time, look at your freaking avatar. What I mean, come on. Can I get someone a little less biased about the show? You
Let's be
know,
fair, okay. I'm sorry. Let's go someplace where Salty could understand. I remember when I saw the episode, "City on the Edge of Forever." That Edith Keeler decision broke me, and Kirk's like dead on, and because he knew what had to happen, and
Mhm.
I was like, oh. What that was such a wonderful that was a moral quandary. That was
Right.
that was the first time I think I'd ever seen fiction deal with that kind. I'm sure it had for years in books and everything else, but seeing it like that, you're like, bro,
It was a very visceral moment
very,
because,
very.
especially when, McCoy, like Kirk can't even talk. And McCoy's like, I could have saved her. Do you know what you just did? And Spock's like, yeah, he knows.
It's
You know,
like, oh,
you know.
anyway, no, it's good stuff.
But the thing is, McCoy didn't know. That's the thing is that, like,
Yeah.
McCoy was like thinking he was being irrational when, it was the only choice to make.
Thing is, I used to, so since we're living in this space, Stanley asked, they never managed a good live action Dragon Ball. They did not. But he also asked prior to that, Hulk. I remember watching as a kid because there was certain shows inside
I hated that show.
So I liked it for one reason. I only wanted to see the moment that he would whip his head up and his eyes were green, and then you were like, oh, it's so on. And then it was slow motion because slow motion denotes size.
Yeah.
It's supposed to denote size and power. So they were like, and it was always filmed from below down. So he looked like he was massive, even
Well,
though
it's not like the $6 million man would run in slow motion.
totally, because we had to see it that way. Yeah,
What's really funny is if you watch like the original $6 million man made for TV movie that was like the pilot, they did not have him run in slow motion. They overcranked the camera, and it looks so stupid.
That's awesome.
It looked like Benny Hill,
And they were like, "Oh my god, totally."
Yeah.
You should
But
totally find that scene and put the Benny Hill, the yakety sax over it.
Yeah. But the thing with the Hulk is that, okay, I was never a big Hulk comic book fan, even though I collected comics back then.
Sure.
But I knew who Hulk was.
Right.
And so it always bothered me that Hulk was so underpowered for the show. And
Very true.
because, I mean,
Like the strongest thing he would do is pick up a car.
Right, and the funny thing is that's actually Lou Ferrigno picking up that car because the hoist for that car was broken for that shot. So Lou literally picked up the car to roll it down that hill.
Lou was a beast, bro.
Yeah, but yeah, Lou is a professional bodybuilder. I mean, yes, he lost to
True.
Schwarzenegger, but just barely. But because they competed against each other, if you didn't know that. But Lou. And the other thing though is that he would only show up once an episode.
I'm really sorry. Real quick, I know we're talking about this, and I want to get back to Salty. Bradley, how could you, sir? The character I think Salty will enjoy is Vegeta's storyline. Vegeta starts out as an enemy of Goku, and by the Boo series, the end, he doesn't like anybody. But he's one of those converted bad guys who ends up because what else are you going to do in life? He joins the good guys.
Goku hates vagina, but then he comes to love vagina.
No, Vegeta opposite. Vegeta hates Goku. But here's the thing: there's this moment when Vegeta has to go fight, and the English translation is pretty stiff, but it actually is very deep. His kid is like, "What's going on?" This and that, and he goes, he's like, "I've never hugged my son. I'm going to hug him now." He says it to nobody. He grabs his kid by one arm and then goes, pop, knocks him out, and then goes to fight a fight he knows he's going to lose. It all because he has to keep that guy busy for a little while, and he's like, I'll keep him busy. All because everybody else is trying to do so. It's very cool. Bradley, great pull, sir. We need to talk about anime someday because I think I should get you to watch something. You don't have to watch a whole series, but I think I should get you to watch something because I love your very salty.
There's only a couple of animes that I've watched. Like I love Death Note.
Death Note was good.
At least the first half of it. Yeah. Because once they kill L, I was like,
You're like, I am out.
Yeah. Because the guy they get to replace him, it's just like, okay, it's round 2 now. And
you literally have to watch all the same. You're like, dude.
Yeah. We're just watching the same show with
Can we shorthand this?
Yeah. So I did like Death Note. I really like Akira.
Akira is seminal. Akira is like genre defining.
I still want that motorcycle.
Everybody does, dude. Do you know how many homages there are to just that motorcycle? Oh, everybody wants that motorcycle. It was amazing. Comic Book Girl 19, Danica does. She did a a calendar shoot where she does that whole thing, and it looks amazing. She looks. They got this. Somebody has a giant model of that bike, and it's just very cool. Very, very cool.
But
sorry, back to Lou Ferrigno, back to all that stuff. Because
I didn't like that he only turned into Hulk once an episode.
And it was always toward the end, and you knew that once he was done,
like, okay,
that was
we're at 42 minutes. He's going to turn into the Hulk now and end it in like 2 seconds. And it's like, man, Lou Ferrigno, that's about to be the easiest paycheck ever. Spray paint him green. He works one day, punches somebody, and then he's done for the week.
It's funny because I feel like Stan Lee sold it so hardcore to the network. Like, look, the body painted guy, fine. That's kind of crazy. We're going to win everybody with the drama. That's where you get like the Hulk sad Hulk song. That's where you get like they thought they could actually make it dramatic.
Oh, The Lonely Man is such an insanely powerful musical piece, but
and it's in a comic book TV show in the 60s, bro.
Yeah.
What?
Well, and that's why I got to give them credit when they made the Incredible Hulk and used that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, Derek, I got to disagree with you. Not that Ryan Gosling's a bad actor or anything. He's not. But I'm saying bring back Nick Cage, buddy.
So funny, I think you could. Nick Cage played Johnny Blaze, the first.
That's what I'm saying.
Then there was Richard Rider or whatever, the second one.
Bring him in.
Gosling to play the second one. And they existed in the comics together.
Okay. But I just say, I just want to see Nicolas Cage come into the MCU as Ghost Rider. Yeah, because he is. And the thing is that with Secret Wars coming, all bets are off.
Robert, that's what it was. Thank you for reminding me. That's what he was busy doing. Henry Cavill's been filming Voltron.
Okay.
That's why he couldn't go. There were several things he was supposed to go. He wanted to be a part of.
Another one that I'll watch, but I'm not like excited. Like
you know the convention they just did with all the Supermans. Like literally, it was Dean Cain through the current all this stuff. Henry Cavill was supposed to be there, and he couldn't because he was filming Voltron. Thank you. That's exactly what he was doing. Hey, what's up, Aravic?
Hey, Aravic, don't forget I got that section of the next chapter of the review coming. That's got a section dedicated to you.
It does. No, he previewed it for me. It's good. You're gonna love it, sir. You're gonna love
Actually, I've improved it since then.
Oh, did you really?
Yes.
Make sure you guys are checking out Salty's channel and the Section 31 reviews. They're really good. They harken back to his old reviews when he did the Last Jedi, which, by the way, go check those out too. They are iconic, and this is just as good. In fact, what's funny is the production value, which wouldn't be that difficult compared to the original, was actually through the roof on these. They're really good. He's doing amazing.
So yeah, we need to bring Nicolas Cage into Secret Wars. And just have him stick around.
Remember the Hulk movies where he teamed up with Daredevil and Thor?
Yeah. Bring those guys all in.
I'm like, but they were like, Thor can't look goofy, so they made him look like a Viking, like a full-on Norse.
Well, I know, but his hammer looked like it literally looked like a piece of plastic that was bouncing off of Lou Ferrigno. It was so hilarious to look at. But yeah, yeah, exactly. Nicolas Cage, Piss and Fire in Secret Wars. I want to see it.
That's awesome.
And in fact, and then you gotta have Deadpool make a comment about how he should get a prescription for that.
So, do you want to actually talk about Spider-Man?
Sure. So, Spider-Man or Invincible first?
Let's do Spider-Man. Let's talk Spider-Man first. Invincible,
okay. So the series that was quick, although I was thinking, man,
but that's really how they did it. They dropped multiple episodes, which actually, for this size of a show, I don't think was a bad idea.
Well, I was trying to figure out why they did it, and then it's dawned on me. We're like less than 2 weeks away from Daredevil.
Yeah.
So, you got the shirt on right now, but that is what I'm looking forward to.
Exactly why I have it too. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, so Daredevil's like, what, the 4th or something? I thought, or I could be wrong.
Technically, it'll be the 4th season.
No, I mean the date.
Oh yeah, no, that's yeah, it's coming up.
Let's see. Born Again. Yeah, March 4th.
Nico is a character from The Runaways. I don't know if they're going to actually go that route.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a short-lived Runaways TV show.
Yeah, I saw like one episode of it and was like, yeah, this sucks.
Did you really?
Yeah. But then the problem is that, and I know that this, of course you would have that.
Nico is her.
Yeah.
Nico is her in The Runaways. It's the truth. Well, these are not just props, and this is a real set. It's not a green screen. These are not just props. It's a comic book.
Yeah, but that goes. The problem is that even though I know this is an animated series, I don't necessarily, because I know Nico is another one of the kid superheroes. I don't want a bunch of children running around in the MCU. I really don't.
No, but it's totally okay for Batman to take a kid out at night and beat up people, but but when a group of them want to do it together, Salty is a problem.
First of all, that's a red herring and a half. Was I defending Batman?
No, it totally is. It's called deflecting.
Yes. No, I prefer our heroes to be adults. Now,
You prefer for them to take some measure of responsibility for the damage they do.
yeah. I would say this. I don't mind if you have a kid or two in the mix, but don't make them all kids.
I don't know.
And I know, Derek, there's been a lot of talk about Young Avengers.
I don't know.
I loathe the idea.
My problem is okay, I could deal with Kate from Hawkeye. I could deal with her. I don't mind Hawkeye.
Yeah, by the time they make Young Avengers, she's gonna be 40.
No kidding. I don't mind her. I think maybe Kamala. The actress who played Kamala Khan was actually brilliant in the Marvels. She's arguably for me the best part of the Marvels. I don't mind her. I think that the girl who plays Ant-Man's daughter is horrific and horrendous. She can't act her way out of a paper bag, and I'm terrified of her. And I want to know what the heck happened. Where's Patriot? Where's Isaiah Bradley's grandkid, who's supposed to apparently have latent super soldier stuff and is supposed to become this young Patriot character? We've seen nothing of him. So I don't know. Amadeus Cho, we get him in the Spider-Man show, but I don't know we got him anywhere else. He's supposed to be the Hulk if we're there for this Young Avengers team.
But you see, I don't want...
Salty's like, it all sounds terrible.
I don't want Marvel babies, okay? I don't want it.
You don't like the remember Muppet Babies?
Yes, that's why I said it. I do not want Yeah, I can just see it right now. They'll change the logo to go Marvel Babies.
I hate you so much. Oh my god, I knew you were going to do that because I heard it in my head already before you did that. That's great. These are like 17-year-olds running around. Okay, first off, every one of those actresses is currently pushing mid-20s at least. All right, the actress who plays Kate Bishop, she's if she's not kissing up to something, look her up. Look them up.
Let's see.
What are they? What are they? How old are they? Let me see real quick.
Played by Haley Seinfeld.
Haley.
She's 28.
Told you she was kissing 30. Is she supposed to be playing off like she's a kid? Get the heck out of here. You know who was 28 when they were in the when they first started the MCU? No, what's her face? Black Widow. She's the same age Black Widow was in Iron Man the first one.
Oh yeah.
It's like, come on, dude.
But Ralph Macchio was like about that when he made Karate Kid, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, because he was one of those young-looking actors,
right,
from back in the day.
He still looks stupid young for his age.
Except that you can see the crow's feet and these very light laugh line, and you're like, you are older, aren't you? It's very funny. He goes in the Spider-Man cartoon. They're all in high school. I know, but not in live action. So what are you gonna do? I was happy to see Spidey finally in his outfit. I will admit that.
Yeah.
Also, the animation. I started not liking the animation.
I would say
it grew on me.
I think Ralph Macchio looks mid-40s. He's 63.
bro looks amazing, and he's still sitting here doing his wax on, wax
You know,
off show business.
you know what's going to happen? 150 years from now, some president's going to be like, I can't believe it says there's some 300-year-old guy getting Social Security. Ralph Macchio's going to be like, I'm right here.
Ralph Macchio's like, I got to go film Karate Kid 20.
Yeah.
But I'll be back.
Yeah.
No, he's great. There was actually some people actually asked some questions once, and I kind of blazed past them. I apologize.
I'm sorry. The Spider-Man cartoon, I get that the age is appropriate, particularly for Peter Parker, but why do we have Nico?
Boy.
Why do we have Ned?
Ned is a direct result of the Miles Morales storyline, because Ned he's not the character of Genki, which is Miles Morales' best friend in the comics, but he is a clone of that character. Heavy set, sort of Hawaiian-y, sort of Samoan type kid.
But this is an MCU adjacent show.
No, I know, but I'm saying like they pulled that from. That's where Ned came from. Right. Ned came because they liked the fact that a younger Spider-Man, i.e. Miles Morales, had a sidekick. It went well with audiences and even those comic book audiences. So they were like, you know what? Toby needs a pal. He needs a buddy. And that's where Ned comes from.
Right, which I don't have a problem with. I'm just saying that if you're going to have him have the pal character that he's friends with in high school, then either have it be Ned, and if you want a girl lead, you know what? MJ. Why don't we have, and whether it's Mary Jane or whatever her name is, played by Zendaya, it doesn't matter.
Her name is Mary. Her name is.
I don't think it was Mary. It was something else, but it's MJ, but it's not.
Oh, Mary. I think it's like Michelle.
Yeah, it's like Michelle. Yeah,
but like her middle name is with a J, but she doesn't go by MJ.
Right.
So we were all like, really. That's what you guys are doing. It's so stupid.
But anyway, you could do either version of the MJ for your female lead. You can and you can have a Ned type character, or just have it her and Harry Osborn, which is what it was in the classic Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
So I think that would honestly make more sense, because just putting Nico in there just for sequel bait, basically for the in the very end of the last episode. I thought was stupid.
So, Creep asks, could Bugs Bunny defeat Thanos or Roadrunner? I'm going to entertain this question. And I'm going to say yes, but only within the confines of the what's that movie they did? Space Jam universe. Because I think that you have to be, the rules don't work.
I'm outside of their cartoon universe. Okay, so we have to look at their interactions of the past. So you're saying yes. You're going to put the fight icon here, and we'll let the audience decide. That's definitely not the fight icon. That's the blue screen of death.
Whatever, man. I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, so fine. So what? Okay, make your case.
Okay, I believe that within the confines of the universe, and I'm only going by Space Jam, not the second garbage one, but the original. Mm-hmm. The original Space Jam, when they were in the cartoon universe.
I haven't seen the second one anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, good. It's trash. I believe firmly he has to, because all the rules, Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet. Let's notoriously say he still has it. Even for this, I'm going to give it to him. In every piece of media, the Infinity Gauntlet only works within the confines of its own original origin universe. You pull Thanos into the Bugs Bunny Space Jam style universe, the rules of that cartoon universe suddenly begin to apply. At that point, Bugs Bunny's nigh on immortal. The Infinity Gauntlet's garbage, and all you have is Thanos' ability to fight. Well, if Bugs Bunny's proven anything, he can fight. Not the way you think, but he can fight. And I believe Bugs Bunny would use some cartoon logic-y, jiggery-pokery, and he would ultimately get the upper hand because Thanos wouldn't know what to do. Now, there's an argument to be made that Thanos could potentially, because he is brilliant.
Yeah, don't make my case for me. You just make your case.
I believe firmly Bugs Bunny would win based on the fact that he knows the rules of the animated universe, and Thanos does not.
Okay. Now, ironic that you mentioned Space Jam, because Space Jam doesn't entirely take place in the animated universe, and you're just assuming that the conflict is going to take place in the animated universe, like
So then
Thanos.
you have to give me the
Hold on.
reasons why Bugs Bunny goes to whatever world it is.
Yes, but Thanos is hyper intelligent. He's not going to go somewhere where the Infinity Gauntlet is not going to work to go up against a powerful entity like Bugs. However, you're also not taking into account the entire canon of Bugs Bunny, because we also know that Bugs Bunny exists in the real universe in a little place called Toontown, and in Toontown,
Wow, you're reaching back to
Toons can be
Toontown.
killed, and if they are placed in the dip. And so all Thanos has to do is use the reality stone to create some dip, and bam, game over.
How does he even know about you're giving him all this extra normal knowledge that I don't understand.
It's
Are we just,
Thanos.
are we just giving them
Okay.
all? Just give them all
Wait,
the
wait, wait,
information.
wait, wait. Can I quote a line, please?
Sure.
You're not the only one cursed with knowledge.
Shut up. That's what you're hanging your
He
hat
knew
on.
who Stark was. He had no business knowing that.
Stark knew who he was. He had a vision. He had knowledge.
Yeah, well, maybe Thanos had a vision of a bunny.
See, hold on, Derek. You're 100% right, sir. Derek says Thanos snaps his fingers, Bugs turns into ashes. Look up, Elmer Fudd. I don't feel so good. Wabbit season. Okay, you're 100% correct. Except that we have seen Bugs get blown up. We have seen him get drop things on, and he always survives and comes through because of some Looney Tunesy magic.
Which is
Whatever that looks like.
explained in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the fact that Toons are in fact immortal, except for when exposed to a very specific set of chemical compounds,
Right.
in which the dip, and which Bugs was never exposed to the dip until now.
It's true. All right, fair enough. I think Thanos could probably. You're right. I think he would. No, truthfully, I think his intelligence would get the best of him. I don't know that he would kill him, but I think for sure he would. He would. The hardest choices require the strongest wills. Good job, Stan. That was a good call. Yeah, no, I feel you. I feel you on that one. All right, fair enough. You know, it's about time Salty won one.
There'll be more carrots for everyone.
That's right. Oh my god, it's hilarious.
All right, so back to Spider-Man, which we were supposed to be talking about.
Yes, please.
All right, so unfortunately, and I will say, so was the show bad? No, not at all. I enjoyed it.
I thought it's funny. I didn't know what to make of it at first, and
Right.
as the story evolved wonderfully. I thought it was great.
So I will say this. I didn't like that Osborn turned out to be less than on the up and up. We'll just say.
Yeah,
I really thought that was too much of the low hanging fruit. Osborn should have been the good guy, and I like the setup for Doc Ock for next season. Because I really like Doc Ock, by the way.
Are playing him so wonderfully perfect.
Yeah,
You know who
he is an absolute nerd, and
You're gonna think I'm crazy. He reminds me of Doc Ock from the Hostess comic book ads because he's got a little bit he's a little bit tongue in cheek, but at the same time he's still deadly and dangerous. Like when he puts on in that one episode, he puts on his earbuds and is listening to music and just walking, and the arms are getting rid of the police and the SWAT team. I was like, oh, this guy's having fun. Okay.
Yeah, the Paradox Spider didn't bother me actually. I thought that was a fun little bit actually.
My problem with it is that it continues. That is one problem I had with the show. It used to just be he was bitten by a radioactive spider, period, the end. Now there's like all this extra dimensionalness and neon magicness. Like it just feels very
Well, a genetically manipulated spider, which they've done in every Spider-Man film.
as it should be. As it should be.
Well, actually, I should take that back. I think Amazing Spider-Man was radioactive, but in the original Spider-Man trilogy and in the newer ones, I believe they said it was a genetically modified spider. But he actually just mentions that he got bitten by that spider, if I remember correctly. But so actually, so we never got an origin on the Tom Holland Spider-Man. So it's entirely possible that's exactly what happened.
They only ever say he was bit when I was bit by that spider. He never really says you're right.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't
Set
describe
of
it.
events.
And
Right.
so it's entirely possible that it was because Doctor Strange opened a portal from the future, and
Doctor Strange didn't exist at the time. Well, maybe he did.
but he will. That's the whole point, because it's in the future.
Oh, got it. You're right. You're
You
right.
know,
You are
I
correct.
did like the fact that they did comic book accurate Doctor Strange and Tony Stark.
Yeah.
They both look like the comic book version, not like the MCU versions.
Yes.
Which
I
was
think
a
the
nice.
guy who's doing Doctor Strange, literally, he's doing.
He sounded like
best-
Benedict.
He did. I thought it was so good. I was like, "Oh, good for you."
Mm.
He was doing such a good job. The guy who did Tony Stark, not so much. I was like,
what?
I feel like the guy who did Tony Stark was not as good.
Yeah, he was like, he kind of reminded me of the guy that does Tony Stark in What If. You know?
So it's funny because I actually think the guy who does Tony Stark in the Avengers, Ultimate Avengers, like cartoon, there's a cart. I never watched it because the animation was garbage, but I've seen several pieces of it.
Mm-hmm.
His voice, even though he's not Tony Stark, has the right amount of like ego in his voice, which I thought was always cool. He always had that slightly smarmy, I know everything and usually listen to me, but not the same style as RDJ. It was its own version, and I liked it. I dug it.
So as far as the rogues gallery that they introduced us to overall, I like
Yes.
them. Although the unicorn was stupid,
Oh,
but
horribly stupid.
I get it. That was
I
just
like
the canon.
Scorpion.
Yeah,
was
Scorpion.
good.
I
love
like-
the fact that he got fused to his deal because that is what happens.
Yeah.
Is Doctor Strange the best of us? Why is he the one screwing up the multiverse? Thanks, creep. I don't know.
Well, actually, if you think about Doctor Strange, in this universe at least, created Spider-Man, so that's not a bad thing.
Sure.
And it'll be interesting if, assuming they do a season 2,
I think they are.
Yeah, to see where they go with it. The weird thing is this going to be considered a universe in the MCU, or is this a completely on its own thing?
So everyone keeps referring to it, like officially, they refer to it as MCU adjacent.
Right.
The meaning is it is, which tells me the chances are when Doctor Strange fell through the universes with America Chavez and they go through that one animated universe, I bet you money that's supposed to be this. But whether they're saying it or not, I have a feeling that is the connection that ultimately will have. What do you think? What do you think of that?
Let's see. Huh?
What do you think of that?
I could see that, but I mean, at the same time, it would just kind of be meaningless. It just means that, okay, we saw it.
Peter was just starting to bother me by complaining about being responsible for every bad thing that happened. That's kind of his thing.
Peter.
Yeah.
That is 100% Peter Parker. That's the thing. He's remember, the whole theme of Peter Parker from the beginning was the great responsibility, or with great power comes great responsibility.
Right.
That's not something they made up for the movies.
No.
That was
been
around back in Amazing Fantasy days. So
yeah, Uncle Ben's always been the one telling him that. Bradley says, come to think of it, are all Spider-Man's villains good guys that go bad? I mean, it's kind of how all bad guys are.
Well, Scorpion was just a thug.
Yeah.
And Tombstone, they definitely a different take on Tombstone.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I wanted something by the end for him to move closer to being the character, because Tombstone's whole deal is Tombstone's I'm not sure. I think he was originally a mutant, but maybe he ended up becoming. Maybe they do something later on with him being genetic something.
I thought somebody like he died or something, and
he's an albino. He's an albino,
right?
Whose skin is hard. His outer is hard as granite,
right?
And when he punches you, same thing. It's like being punched by a brick, literally.
Now I do think it's interesting they set up for the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, I thought that was. I was like, really? This is what we're doing?
So yeah, the 5/10 or 1/10 or whatever they're called. The ones that survived are the Wrecking Crew. Although I thought that Big Don just running away like a chicken at the end was stupid.
Yeah, it was.
I knew it. Dang it! I'm looking at the cast. That was Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They
promoted it. They promoted it. He was playing. He does play his own voice.
Yeah,
which
I
I thought was
didn't know
great.
that. I didn't know they did
He
that.
does such a great job. He does a really, really good job. It's funny because you're like, dude, why are you getting every? Well, Charlie Cox is like, I'll play. I feel like they were like,
He's like,
I feel
yeah,
like,
I'll take the job.
or better, I feel like he was just like, hey, so there's a cartoon I'm hearing that's gonna have like Daredevil. Oh yeah, we have this guy. We call it this, and it's like, well, can I do it? They're like, sure. I have a feeling, seriously, I feel like he's like, I'll do it. Like he doesn't. I don't think he cares. He just wants to play the character every time, every opportunity he gets. He's already said he's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to be a 60-year-old Daredevil.
Yeah.
Let's go. Like that is hilarious.
Let's see. And
Stan says, and now his dad? Question mark. That's new. Question mark.
oh yeah, well that was kind of implied in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. They just never followed up on it.
And also that was a storyline that similar to they did something similar in the comics
Yeah.
when they was it Ultimate Spider-Man, the original Ultimate Spider-Man, I think did it. Do you think we're building up to Tom Holland eventually sacrificing himself and passing the buck over to Miles Morales?
I hope not, because I really like Tom Holland.
I like him too. Tom
know,
is.
I think, honestly-
he's down for playing it forever.
Look, Sony, buddies. I know you watch the show, so
Friends of the show, Sony.
yeah. So here's a little free advice for you. You want to make some money? Have
Stop
Tobey
listening.
Maguire sacrifice himself for Miles.
Oh, that's the way you do it. No, totally. Give so there in the original comic, there's a place where
And Derek just said the
where
same
Ultimate
thing.
Spider-Man, yeah, Derek's right. Where Ultimate Spider-Man is he sacrifices his life, and as he's dying, he tells Miles, he's like, dude, don't listen to anybody. You're Spider-Man. He's like, go, just be Spider-Man, and just do it. And he dies.
Yeah.
Give Toby that exit.
And by the way,
Give it to
Sony,
me.
here's a great, talk to your buddies at Marvel. Kevin, I know you watch the show, so just, listen up, because this will be good for both companies. Seriously. So here's what you do. You got to get that fan hype going, because Sony's had a lot of misfires, right? So here's how you get the fan hype going. You introduce Miles as Tobey Maguire's little buddy in Secret Wars.
His little buddy.
Yeah, basically, it's like, so when you can have Tom Holland, the Spider-Men will get together during Secret Wars at some point, right? And then, so he goes to Toby, and he's like, who's the other Spider dude? And he'd be like, oh, this is my friend Miles.
Mike K says, yeah, your audience is just me and a dozen studio reps.
Pretty much, yeah. You didn't know that? Most of these guys are actually, wouldn't that be awesome?
Thomas Potts pointing out, speaking of Spider-Man, did you hear what happened to Tom Holland when he tried to buy a non-alcoholic beer he made at a Target? They didn't accept his ID because it was a British ID.
Didn't he have a passport?
He does look like a child. I don't know. This is like, sure you're 30 something, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. How old is Tom Holland now? Like 60? No, that's Ralph Macchio. Let's see. So Tom Holland is 28. So yeah, just right for playing 17 now.
Man, they're all going to be old men. Hey, do you watch Reacher at all?
I watched season 1.
So you need to get caught up on season 2. Season 2 is amazing, and season 3 starts tomorrow. So
well, I'm still on the secular media fast until Friday.
Are you really? Is this your Lent?
We do our church has a 40-day fast at the beginning of every year.
Nice.
Yeah. So
other religions call it Lent. Just saying.
No, it's not Lent, because it doesn't coincide with Easter. And I think they should start it on January 1st, honestly, but for some reason they wait a couple of weeks. But yeah. And Stan says Toby was 27 in the first Spider-Man. Well, according to Google, he is 28 now. Says he was born in 1996. Actually, no, he was a teenager when they... That's right, because remember, they cast him age appropriate.
Oh my God, Derek's totally right. The guy that plays Reacher, Alan Richardson, should totally play Batman in James Gunn's DC Batman and Damian movie. Yeah, he should. Brother would be he'd be the most, and you could dye his hair black. the most comic book accurate Batman ever, while we have the least comic book accurate. Well, that's not true. Superman ever.
Why do you think he's the least comic?
No, only because if you look at they're always ripped, muscular, and
Oh.
which I've always thought was a mistake in the comics. I feel like Superman's not supposed to be. Superman should be. He's supposed to be a
He
normal.
should be an
looking dude
average-looking dude, really.
that the sun just makes super strong.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal. But Batman.
Oh, you're talking about the Tobey Maguire.
super
I'm sorry. So
good.
yeah, Tobey Maguire was 27 when he made the first Spider-Man, and Tom Holland is 28 now after
go.
making 4 of them, and a couple of Avengers movies. Hey,
Yeah,
why
man.
not?
Let's go.
So yeah, I think Toby beats, I think Tom beats Toby.
I don't know, man. I agree with you. But when you saw it in Homecoming or No Way Home or whatever, those other two boys, literally between Andrew Garfield and Tobey
That was the
Maguire,
nostalgia.
they
bit,
like,
though.
but they like. It was the best kind.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying it was bad, but I'm
it
just
was
saying-
it was good fan service.
But I still think
It was so good.
of all the Spider-Men, I'm sorry, Toby is my least
Spider-Man.
favorite.
I agree with that. But I don't like Andrew Garfield either because I thought Andrew Garfield was too pretty.
Well,
I'm sorry.
here's the funny thing.
There's
like-
no universe in which I believe Andrew Garfield was bullied or a geeky nerd in high
Right.
school looking the way he looks.
Here's the funny
guys
thing.
who, who mess with me look like that. 'Cause
It's
I was
kind
a
of
geek.
like Batman. Spider-Man, like Batman, has a dual identity, right?
Yeah.
And the interesting thing to me is that Toby played a really good Peter Parker, but was a really lame Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was a lame Peter Parker and a really good Spider-Man. Like he had that New York accent and everything. He's like, "Hey, I'm going
Down.
through here."
Let
You know,
it down.
yeah, and he had the quips and everything as Spider-Man, but making Peter Parker into a skater dude, I thought was stupid. And then
Well, they were taking notes because the Ultimate Universe was in full swing at that time.
right,
And they were taking notes from because he had a lot of things in common with the Ultimate Spider-Man. Well, and it's similar to what they did with the X-Men movies. The X-Men movies were taking their cues from Ultimate Universe also. That's why they all wore black leather.
but Tom Holland is both. Tom
Yeah, I
Holland
agree.
he's the MCU version of Ben Affleck as Batman.
What's his face? Stanley said he goes when I created Spider-Man, I was thinking of someone. Tom Holland's the character I was thinking of.
right?
The young kid who totally is a kid trying to do grown-up things.
Okay,
and
so Derek,
forced
here's a
power.
tearjerker moment from you. How about this? Andrew Garfield meets Gwen Stacy from another universe in Secret Wars.
Bruh. And bring what you could get her. You could get the
Oh, I'm
actress
sure.
who
Yeah,
plays
she would
Daisy.
absolutely do it.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and Robert Pattinson was almost the same age as Affleck when he first played Batman. You mean when he played Daredevil? Because the first time he played Batman, Affleck was an old man. That was just
True
a few
story.
years ago.
Derek's bunch of emojis. I love it.
So while we're still on the superhero theme, before we run out of time, so Invincible.
Yeah.
You see, that's where you're an idiot because you don't like the show because you're
No, I like the show, but the problem is I've read the comics is the problem. And the comics did it better because they had time. And so they could pace out some of the story a little better. And so to me, this season in particular feels very rushed compared to the same arc in the comics. Now, I love some of the stuff we've seen. I loved Cecil versus Invincible. I loved the new Guardians becoming the old Guardians or whatever, or old Guardians. The guys who were the Guardians going back to being their freelance. I love the relationship build. I love what they're doing, but we're not getting enough time in any of it. It all feels very rushed to me because of the medium that we're in. Television, they got to go, whatever. But it just, I don't know, man. But at the same time, I am enjoying it. Also, the animation feels lazy. I say that especially because we're watching, and I didn't even like the animation of Spider-Man when I first started. But you see these scenes with him when he got his suit, he's on the roof and it's nighttime and they're like actually coloring him in correctly, which is like, duh. So I don't know. I feel like whereas Invincible doesn't do any of that.
Yeah, well, when you look at the Spider-Man animation, the problem isn't the character design; it's the actual animation part.
Agreed. No, yeah, how the arms all move like they're pipes
Yeah.
lashed together, so everybody's very stiff looking. which I do not believe they're using. There's no way it's the same model architecture when he's Spider-Man. Because when he's Spider-Man, he's super flexible. Like I like him. I like him jumping through the air and doing all the things when he's Spider-Man. You know what I mean? But when he's just Peter, very stiff.
Yeah. Robert doesn't like that Omni-Man had sex with a bug.
Can I get some drink?
You really want me to get you a drink right now?
You don't have to. Huh? Oh man, I'm on.
Sorry.
And they wanted Pattinson to be a younger Batman. I mean, he looks young. Whatever. They can just play it. I think they're doing a great job playing it off.
I think Pattinson is Batman. Pattinson is a solid Batman. He's a crap Bruce Wayne.
See, but I think that's on purpose. He's Bruce.
I don't
Wayne
care if it's on purpose. I still didn't like it.
Bruce Wayne, who because you haven't gotten there yet. That's like honestly, I hated Daniel Craig's Bond until he became Bond, because we don't realize it's an origin story. We're
Right.
watching the beginning of his journey, and so that's why when all of a sudden he has a dude M, and he has and you're like, oh, I get it. This was him becoming the James Bond we know. I understand now.
Yeah, this
You know
whole
what I
thing
mean?
was a prequel.
Yeah, and I get that. So same thing. I feel like you're going to eventually get that character. You're going to get him there. Salty can play Mermaid Man in a live action SpongeBob.
I'd do it.
Really... You totally could too. Can I get you? I'll get you that outfit for the next comic convention we go to.
Okay, yeah, you give me that outfit.
Totally. I get you the outfit with the.
You got to find some tall, skinny dude to be Barnacle Boy.
I
then.
know, totally. Mine would be. Maybe Thomas could be him. Thomas Potts, the Krabby Trekker, signed Stanley.
And you know what? I like the Daniel Craig Bond. I thought the Daniel Craig Bond was good. I know a lot of people were mixed on it, but I enjoyed it.
Michael K says, oddly, Daniel Craig's James Bond is his least interesting role.
See, that's why I disagree.
See, there's the thing. I didn't even realize until I did a rewatch about a year or two ago of the Tomb Raider movies, because I was reviewing that Tomb Raider Netflix one that they did, and I was like, let me watch these Angelina Jolie ones. He's the guy in the first one that she knows.
See, I saw it, but I don't remember.
And I'm like, but he looked nothing. He was like skinny. He still had a little bit of body, but he was not like the guy he becomes to be James Bond.
Right.
He was much smaller, and I was like, who is this? Why does his face look so familiar? And I looked it up. I was like, oh my God, it's Daniel Craig. He plays the like throwaway former competition guy that Laura knows. I was like, oh. It's crazy. Thomas says, I'm not that old or skinny.
We'll just hire Doug Jones
Oh my God.
as Barnacle Boy.
He would be perfect. And I have a feeling he would dive into that.
Yeah, if you can pay him.
Whatever. The guy, what's he doing these days?
I don't know. He just finished
Star
Discovery.
Trek conventions? I'm going to say Star Trek conventions? Come on.
Well, he was at the convention we went to.
And he was amazing. He stopped for everybody. He talked to everybody. He's just as kind as Saru ever was. Seriously, he's super nice. Very sweet, very gentle.
Well,
to
he's
talk
always
to.
had a reputation for that, but anyway, so you did
Sorry.
not you thought that Invincible was subpar then.
No. I wish everything they're doing right. I just wish they gave everything a hair more time to breathe. And it's funny because they've already taken a bunch of stuff out to make it fit in the time. And I'm like, so my brain's like, maybe just give them take more time. I don't know. But at the same time, it's like I felt like we were just literally going from one thing to the next. And I guess reading the comics, it's kind of like that. But I don't know. Robert asks, is Star Trek done for the big screen now? Salty Trekker? ?
I hope so.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I do not want to see another Star Trek movie ever.
Well, no offense, we didn't see one recently either. We saw a TV movie. It was that was not a movie. That was
I'm just
everyone
saying.
calls it. During my whole review, I couldn't stop saying the show.
I keep trying.
'Cause
I
it
keep
just
fighting
felt
myself.
like a show.
Yeah, I keep fighting myself to say show when I'm talking about it. but but it also it doesn't have the epicness of a movie, and it clearly doesn't have the budget of a movie.
Oh my god! I just saw Rachel Garrett on Watson. We started watching Watson on Paramount
Oh, the
Plus.
actress that plays Garrett, you mean?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. She said, so she walks in and I'm like, that's Rachel Garrett. Oh, she already got another job because she clearly knows that pilot of Section 31 ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Give her another job. She's a regular on Watson now. She plays one of Moriarty's agents.
See, yeah,
Spoilers for a show nobody's watching.
yeah.
My
That's
wife and I are watching it because we're big. My wife said, she goes, "Do you know why I love watching the show?" I said, "Why?" She goes, "Because it's a medical procedural you're willing to watch." Because she knows I don't like the Grey's Anatomy shows. I don't like any of those things. Scrubs was the last time I watched with any kind of conviction a medical show. Okay, just to give you an idea.
the only medical show that I ever got into was House.
I jumped in and out of House. I liked it. I just didn't have time to
Because he's
dedicate
just
to it.
such a dick, and he's so fun to watch.
He's very so. This is a House ripoff.
Okay.
But so what? I forget the actor's name. He's a black gentleman. He plays John Watson in a modern context. The show starts with him having gone to Switzerland after he's already stopped working with Holmes. He goes to Switzerland. He witnesses Holmes and Moriarty fall off the Reichenbach thing, and he goes to chase him. He wakes up with a concussion and a cracked skull, and he can't remember some details. But at the end
And
of
is
the
this
day,
a period piece or another one of those
no,
modern
it's
retelling?
modern retelling. And so Holmes, apparently, him and Holmes had a friend who was their street guy who helped them, and Holmes had given him. Apparently, Holmes had money, and he invested it in a clinic for Watson, not for Watson just to be a doctor, but for Watson to be a detective doctor. So literally, it's House.
And Robert, I like Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes as well. I know that a lot of people hated it, but I enjoyed
loved it.
Yeah.
Loved that. I loved everything about that version. Only because not because it was new and modern. I dug the way they so I've always, when I read the Sherlock Holmes books, I always envisioned that he was someone who was either on the spectrum or somebody who just had high functioning whatever. And to see him sitting in that restaurant and he has to close his eyes because he's observing everything too much. He can't stop himself from observing everything. And I was like, what a cool way to do that idea. Very neat.
But back to what Robert was asking about Star Trek on the big screen. I think that if you look at Star Trek films,
Yeah.
you had 2, 3, 6, I think, were really solid. 4 was good. The next gen films were really mixed.
I like some of the next gen films. Not all of them, but I like some of them because they felt like big budget episodes.
The only next
That's why I liked them.
Okay. If you want to rate it by how close it was to the next gen series, then you have Generations and Insurrection, because Nemesis
Generations,
and First
I felt-
Contact, neither one of those were anything like.
Generations. I don't know, man. Generations felt to me like I think the motion picture felt to some people. Because I feel like it wanted to be so many. It was like, we have money, we can do so many things, and none of it really landed for me.
Well, I'm not saying Generations was a great movie.
I liked Insurrection. I liked it a lot. I thought there were aspects of Nemesis I liked, like the Romulans and some of that stuff. I was not down for the clone young son thing. I felt like it overcomplicated a story that didn't need to be complicated.
Right.
I felt like it was just be like, hey, it's a clone, whatever. All of that felt very, very weird. And then what was the other one that they?
First Contact.
First Contact, of course, is brilliant. I loved First Contact.
First Contact was garbage.
It was brilliant. I loved it. Everything about it.
So you heard it here. Mr. Know-It-All thinks it's great that we
I
brought
loved
in
it.
the Borg Queen.
I could care less about the Borg Queen part. I'm more a fan of I love time travel. It's what Star Trek does really well. I love the concept that they see what happened in the past. That whole idea they got to go through the tunnel and the whole thing. I kind of dug because it's got that quirky Star Trekism. I dug Riker and Troy trying to find Zefram Cochrane. I liked the twist that Zefram Cochrane ain't all we think he is. We got to see Barkley in a movie context. How could you hate that? Barkley was. I love
And then
Barkley.
it didn't bother me that Dwight Schultz showed up for 30 seconds. Well, I mean, although I will say this, I did not
And
care.
awkwardly shakes hands with the
Yeah,
guy.
I did not care for their take on Zephyr Cochrane.
So my issue with him was that I, like you, I was like, how does this guy become that guy?
right. It's
I couldn't see the connective tissue, but so my brain went off, and I'm not that I'm telling you to. I'm saying I had to, in order to enjoy the rest of it, I had to stop caring about that.
right. But for me, if it's one of those things where you have to turn your brain off, it's not Star Trek.
Okay.
And so that's one of the, that's
I
the
do
big
agree. I
problem.
agree.
That's
I'm not
the
gonna
big
argue
problem
that.
with the
I do agree.
Kelvin timeline films. That's
No,
you know,
not necessarily.
I think the Kelvin timeline films can be fun movies as long as you're not thinking too much.
I think my issue with the Kelvin timeline is it's funny, almost the same issues I have with Invincible. Rather than try in any way, shape, or form to show us everybody's brilliant, they have people say stuff like, you like being the only genius offender, blah blah in the Midwest. Like, why do you have to tell me he's a genius? Have him show me something geniusy. Show me that they're smart. And I felt like we never had to do that in any of the original stuff. Nobody had to define that they were intelligent. By virtue of being where you are, doing what you're doing, we can make
Right.
that leap. So you have to tell me that teen heartthrob who belongs in the magazine cover who's going to be Kirk, because I'm sorry, I don't necessarily know that was what's needed. You got to tell me he's smart. Come on, man.
Well, he certainly didn't act smart.
You know what? You know what showed me Kirk was smart. Like, honestly, Star Trek 2. Star Trek 2, when he's having to remember the rules and regulations, and he remembers the code thing, and everybody's on point. I'm like, these guys this is all very good. Like,
Right.
this all looked very intelligent. They had to think their way through that whole scenario, and I loved it. It's funny, The Martian is way more Star Trek-like than most things. And The Martian,
Actually, the Martian is very more Star Trek: The Next Generation like.
Well, no, but what I mean is a person having to think through and solve a
Right.
problem that they can't muscle their way through. I think that was brilliant. And
But
I
you see,
love
that's a difference, though, and maybe that's part of the reason I have such a fondness for the original series, more so than most, is that I like the fact that Kirk, to me, was, okay, he was intelligent, but he was not above punching you in the face if that's what the solution was.
right. Stanley says they're doing the MacGyver thing during the Gorn fight,
Right.
where Kirk has to figure out how to make a gun.
Which, of course, Mythbusters did verify could work.
Yeah, he did. That's right. I see that one.
So, that's about as close as Star Trek ever comes to being actual science. Because all the people that say that TNG and stuff is based on science, they're smoking crack.
No, but a lot of you have to understand that stuff. They did such a good job.
Just because they
showing
say
us-
quantum a lot doesn't make it science.
Agreed, but they did such a good job showing us stuff that a lot of actual scientists were inspired to go into various fields
sure.
as a result. Because of
know how
because
many
of the next
times
generation. Sorry, because of the next generation, there's actually a young man. I say young man now. I saw this when I was 19 and I read this, who came up with an actual warp theory article or a paper. He goes, it's physically, there's no way you can do it, but let's presuppose you could. And he literally says in the opening of the thing, Star Trek says this, and this. I'm going to say this. What if you had this? And he calls it exotic matter instead of dilithium or anything else. Like, how do you get that energy boost? How do you generate the field? All these things. He created a wonderful paper, and it was all inspired by Star Trek: The Next Generation. The techno babble inspired real techno stuff, at least in theory. So, it's pretty cool.
But the problem is even then you have to invent things to make it work. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, science fiction has to be all hardcore, because the original series wasn't.
Right.
But the original series wasn't pretending to be either.
True.
And that's where the Berman era kind of turned me off a little bit, in that when they went, especially Voyager went so over the top with the technobabble.
So the problem is they began to believe that's what defined Star Trek.
Right.
They pushed that narrative so much that it began to be the defining trait and was no longer about space exploration and all these other things. It's funny, people hate modern Star Trek, but the truth is it started to deviate way before modern Star Trek.
Right.
It just and out of I don't know if it was out of sheer laziness or just tired or they were losing their creativity. I don't know what you call it, but whatever.
And yet, by the way, Thomas was saying, several things on TNG were inspired real inventions. A ton of things in the original series did too. The guy that worked for Motorola that literally created the cell phone got the idea from the communicator.
Sure.
And so, modern, diagnostics came from the idea of McCoy's beds and the whatchamacallit, the hypo spray. When I was in the Army, I was inoculated using hypo sprays, which was a weird sensation because they say, don't move. And one guy did. That was not good. Because, do you know how they work?
No, how?
They basically, there's no needle. They just push the thing against your skin. They do it on your shoulder, actually, but they push it up against your skin. And it's like, have you ever seen one of those tables that can cut with a stream of water?
Yeah.
Imagine doing that into your shoulder, but with the whatever you're being inoculated with.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
So it's a super small amount.
Yeah.
But it just shoots through your skin. And it's a very efficient way to be able to, because you basically have a bunch of guys walking in a row and you just walk up and and there's no need to change needles or anything because it doesn't penetrate your skin. But one guy flinched. Now imagine if you're moving as the spray's going off, what that could do to your skin.
Yeah, it would cut you.
Yes. Bad. So,
like lightsabers that they never ever do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like lightsabers should never be a nice, clean, neat hole ever.
yeah, lightsabers. That would be so bad. Did you ever see?
And that's not even including the fact that it would spontaneously evaporate all of your body would explode from all of the liquid in your body evaporating because of the heat level.
And then did you ever see when Corridor Crew did the world's longest lightsaber?
No, I gotta check that out. I haven't seen
it. The one of they're saying goes, I made a real lightsaber.
Thomas brings up a good point.
What?
Were you the one that moved?
No, I was not.
Okay. Should we ask you to lift up your shoulder, your sleeve, so we can verify?
No. But I wasn't the guy that moved. But yeah, so they go, I made a real lightsaber, and he turns it on, and they're like, and it just goes like that big, and they're like, well, that's pretty lame, and he's like, well, let me adjust it, and it starts growing a little bit, and it's like, oh, okay, that's a little better, and then it keeps growing, and then it gets like it's like 5-6 feet long, like, oh crap, we got to get this thing outside. So they're freaking out trying to get it outside, and they eventually get it to where it's like miles long.
That's awesome.
And they accidentally like destroy an airplane that's flying overhead, and it keeps just
as what Stanley said, they slice an airliner in half.
Yeah, and then they eventually actually cut the Earth in half.
Stanley says he's Team Cecil. I am team. I'm Team Mark, but I understand Cecil.
Cecil's a dick.
They did by the way, that origin story nonsense is not in the comic, and that's one thing I loved.
His origin story of Cecil.
At least I'm sorry, he has an origin story, but it's not that particular thing. It was very close to that. There's some pieces, but that was a lot of new material, and I actually really dug the way they represented that very well, because we don't really get a whole story detail like they showed us about why his philosophy is the way it is. And I don't even know that the show gave us that much philosophy. They just say he'd been in jail for 2 years, and all of a sudden the whole place is running like smooth as can be. So well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Cecil is very well done on the show, but I hate him. He's a character I love to hate.
Yeah.
I cannot stand him. I want him to go down hard. Especially like it's like, but we are spying on them. Well, of course we are, but not with that. And Thomas thought you were Team Jacob.
No. Although, have you heard this brilliant idea for a movie they're doing?
What? Twilight
or a
reboot?
series rather. No, it's a series. A series or movie. I think it's a series. It's going to be called. I swear, it's playing Jacob in an alternate history universe. The actor Taylor Lautner, he's a werewolf hunter. He gets when he's finished
So he
making the
saw
movie.
Supernatural, and he's like, "Let's do that with Twilight."
But no, what happens is in real life, the way this works, he was in the movie for real, and then a secret organization approached him and was like, "We need you to help us hunt werewolves."
Right.
And he's
That's what I
like,
said. It's Supernatural, but with
Yes.
Twilight.
Yes. And I was like, why? No, because Supernatural, they weren't themselves. He's himself.
They
He's
were
playing
after
Taylor
the
Lautner,
first-
the actor.
After the first few seasons, they weren't playing their actual names, but they were playing actors that played them on Supernatural.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, they actually did a soft reboot of the show where
What?
Yeah, so the first it's kind of interesting.
I never
It's like-
watched it because to me it always felt like it was a ripoff of Buffy. I was a hardcore
Right.
Buffy
So
fan.
after there were a couple, they did like a couple of seasons, and the show wasn't really doing that great. And
Really?
and then they did an episode where midway through the actual episode, all of a sudden you hear the director say "cut," and it pulls back, and they break the fourth wall. And they're making a show called Supernatural, but then it turns out like one of the people working on the production was actually a monster. And so then from that point on,
Shut up, you're a liar.
yeah, no, I'm absolutely serious. So from that point on, it was
How did I not know
actors-
this?
Yeah, it was the actors from Supernatural actually hunting monsters.
That's crazy.
And I never got into Supernatural, but a friend of mine was trying to sell me on it with that, and I was like, well, that's an interesting idea.
You're like, yeah, you're like, is this supposed to be making me want to do this?
But do I care about Taylor Lautner playing himself as a werewolf hunter? No.
Same. I'm like, I don't know, man.
And yeah. Let's see. All right, so
What are we looking for?
I'm looking for something. But anyway. Whoa. Accidentally clicked on the wrong thing. All right. But yeah, so you think that
I'm still watching it. Overall, I'm enjoying it. There's just
Well-
things that I have to work through. Like I'm just like, we'll see.
I still can't get past the fact that you think that First Contact is a good movie.
Whatever, man. Literally, there's a holiday for modern Star Trek fans. First Contact.